Okay, with Darryl Mansel, Once Upon a Time in Space is the action adventure sci-fi screenplay. Really well, nicely put together. Tell us what Once Upon a Time in Space is all about.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me. Once Upon a Time in Space is what it boils down to. It is my homage to the Western, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Just that concept put
In
in
space?
space with this,
Okay.
yeah, with the sci-fi setting there. In years in the future, humanity has moved beyond Earth. We're in the stars now. We have intergalactic travel, but we do not have your standard warp speed. There's no hyperspace. There's no faster than light travel. If you want to get from planet A to planet B, it's going to take you a couple weeks to get there. Uh, so, set in an intergalactic war that's happening between two factions, rumors are starting to surface of blueprints for an engine that can make a ship go faster than light. So the race is on, and everyone knows he who or she who has those blueprints can use them for their own gain, whether it be turn the tide of the war, personal profit, however they want to work it. So the race is on, and we focus on three characters that's trying to get these blueprints.
And what was the motivation for you to write it?
Well, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is one of my favorite movies of all time, which is weird because I'm not really a Western guy, but just the plot of that movie is it's simple, but
Yeah,
what Leone does with it is very complex with character dynamics and how everyone kind of interweaves in and out.
yeah.
And one day I was just wondering how would that look if you took it from Western to space? There's a lot of overlays of other stories who have taken that Western aspect and put it up into the stars. So I just started wondering what would that be like? What would they be going for? In the movie, it's set during the Civil War, so it's $100,000 in gold. That doesn't really quite equate up there in the stars. So I started thinking about what could that MacGuffin be, and the more I thought about it, the more excited I got about it. So sat down and started writing.
Gotcha. And we asked you in the blog interview, and you said no one else was going to get the story out of my head.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
good
yeah, yeah.
answer.
It's been rattling around in there for almost a decade at this point.
Oh, wow.
Um, and yeah, I really want to just get it from here, from the head onto the page to see if anyone else sees what I see in my head.
And what was your experience writing screenplays?
This is my second go at writing, and I had written a spec script for Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, and then after that, I dove right into Once Upon a Time in Space. Frustrating would be the key word for this. I'm not the sole person on this. I have a writing partner, Josh Bishop, and he helped me build this world out. He developed of our three main characters. He developed one, I developed one, and we developed one together. So a lot of learning to compromise is the key tactic that I learned here of okay, we can do this if you let me do this. I'm willing to accede that if you want this. So a lot of give and pull, a lot of arguing, a lot of beer, and a lot of fun is kind of how it all boiled down here.
Gotcha. A lot of beer and a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that
We
after, before the writing, or during writing, or after writing?
both we meet weekly to hash out whatever we need to hash out. At the very beginning, it was we got to get our pilot episode. We need to figure out what our outline is going to be, where we want our characters to start, where we want them to be at the end of the pilot. So that was the crux of most of our meetings. I went away, did most of the writing. There's definitely a couple beers involved in that writing as well. And then whenever we meet back up, then it's okay. Well, how do we rework this? How do we massage this? How do we shorten this? How do we make room for any other ideas we have in there? And that's where a lot of the give and take comes in.
Gotcha. And where did you meet him?
We worked at a bookstore together. We worked at Barnes and Noble together, and once we both left, we stayed in contact. And when I finally decided I wanted to get serious about writing this, I reached out to him and asked, "Is this something you want to do with me?" And he was like, "Absolutely, I'm all in on it." And thank goodness, because the world we set this in, he built from scratch with no help from me whatsoever. So that was one less thing for me to worry about. I just got to focus on the characters and how we want to move them around the space. So he's been extremely invaluable throughout this whole process, and thank goodness he decided to come on this journey with me.
Is the Barnes and Noble still there?
It is. I was there like a week and a half ago buying some movies.
Well, buying movies. Who buys movies now?
I'm one of the last bastions of physical media out there, it seems like, but they're having a big sale, so I decided to go take advantage of it.
Sure. You know where you can buy some good ones at like flea markets or where I was at like a kind of one of those thrift stores. They were like selling
Yeah.
them like a dollar a piece.
Oh, I raid every bin that
Okay.
I come across.
All right. So is that your bookshelf? Is those all movies on your bookshelf over your shoulder?
These are books.
Okay.
Over here is more books and comic books, and then in the room across the hall is where we keep all the movies at.
And how many movies? These are DVDs?
I have DVDs, Blu-rays, 4Ks, and I've been at it for a little while now.
And how many do you have?
If I had to put a number to it, I think we're closing in on maybe 2000
Wow.
ish. Yes,
Okay.
space becomes a premium after a while.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so like the I used to love DVDs back in the day because I used to like listening to the director's commentary.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
which is something that people don't do now, right? So or because
love
they
it.
don't,
I
yeah.
love it. First thing I do is I pick up a movie and I turn to the back to see if there's a director's commentary on
Okay.
this disc. It's kind of a lost art. It seems like the more we've gone on, the less and less good special features that we get. But I do love me a good director's commentary.
Yeah, sometimes there's some gems, there's some really kind of good insights on some of it, right? So,
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
but for the new they still do DVDs for the new movies.
Yeah, I mean they're still out there. And I do my grocery shopping at Walmart, so
Yeah.
somehow my cart just ends up in the movie section every single time I'm doing my grocery shopping. So I'm always combing through. What do you guys still have on the
Like, is
shelves?
there a
What's
DVD
out
for
here?
Barbie or Oppenheimer?
Like a straight DVD for it? Yes, there was. I was fortunate enough to go ahead and pick up Blu-ray for Barbie and a 4K for Oppenheimer.
Okay,
But
there you go.
they're still pressing them out there. They're still
They're
out there in
still
the world.
putting it out there, right? So yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that's but there's no like extra features or there are.
There are. Yeah. I mean, Dune parts one and part two had some pretty good special features. Barbie had some good special features to it as well. Movie came out last year, Saturday night. It's kind of a fictionalized version of
Yeah, I saw it.
first
It's pretty good.
episode of
Yeah.
I love that movie. There's a director's commentary
Oh, is
on
there?
that disc.
Reitman does the director's commentary. Okay.
Yep. 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 Yep.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
It
Because
is.
that was one of those movies where like it was almost like you needed more like I knew the story backwards and forwards because I'm like
Mhm.
of the age or because I just read the book. I read the history of Saturday Night Live. But if you didn't know
Yep.
the history, it's sort of like you get kind of get lost in the characters. I was like watching it with like my wife and she was like she got some of it, but then was like there seemed to be more context needed, but that's just me.
Yeah, I read that. I read that book as well, and I love that book, and I love SNL. So
Yeah.
that was like a day one for me in the theaters, and definitely fictionalized, but still just a fun movie to watch. If you love SNL, then you should love this movie, I think.
Yeah. And it propelled me to read his book. David, I was going to say David Chase, but of course it's not David. The creator of the show,
Lauren,
Lauren Michaels' book. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It's
yeah,
called
yeah, yeah,
Lauren. Yeah. Basically, yeah. And he grew up
yeah.
like
It's
where I'm
great.
sitting in Toronto. He grew up like basically maybe 5 kilometers away from where I am, where I'm sitting. So
Oh, okay, all
yeah.
right then. That's what you got a little bit of local ties there to
Yeah.
SNL.
So his origin story is very familiar to me, like where he lived,
Mhm.
where he grew up and stuff like that, Jewish as well. So okay, so tell me about like your big movie buffs. Then you but you well, did you always want to write screenplays? Is that sort of like because you wrote a fan
Uh,
fiction, right? So that seemed
yeah,
to be
yeah.
like something you. But go ahead. What's your origin story? Like what kind of finally?
It. I've been, just kind of tinkering at little small stories for years. Um, I initially conceived this idea as a comic book because I'm a huge comic book head. Love reading all flavors, not just your standard superhero fare, but all flavors of comic books. I love reading. That's how this started. So I set out to get an artist to do this, and they are not cheap at all because they have bills and rent and food that they like
Yeah.
to eat. So understandable that it was outside of my price range to tell this story in that medium. So I started thinking about it. What's the closest comparable medium to comic books in that vein. Now, oh well, television. Comic books are month by month, where an episode of television is just going to be week by week. So just took the idea that I initially had as a comic, started retooling it a little bit for the screen. Took some classes at UCLA to learn more about the actual craft of screenwriting and storytelling, and learning how to pace and get an outline down and all that. And then, by the end of it, I had some rough cut, and then just kept retooling and shuffling and, changing scenes and sequences and dialogue. And I've arrived at what we have currently at version 7 of this script.
Version 7. Are you writing something else or?
Yes, since I've wrote Once Upon a Time in Space, I have written another pilot, also in the sci-fi genre called Generations. And I am slowly working on a third idea that I got to do some research on first. It's not science fiction; it's a historical story. So I need to do a little bit of research into that first before I start writing.
So you got the bug then?
That's a good bug, yeah. It's incredibly satisfying to get to the end and see a finished product that you actively had a hand in the creation of, from a blank page to 55, 60 pages of something that you could look and say, I did that, I created that. And should it never go anywhere, I can still go back and read it and remember the memories of the fun
Mhm.
that I had with my friends, kicking around these ideas and writing these stories, along with the frustrations and figuring out the puzzling and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah,
there's a certain satisfaction to creation, I think, that is an itch that needs to be scratched by some.
100%. And everybody supports you in your world, you writing?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. 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 Some more than others. Some people are actively like, "What's next? What's next? Tell me what's next.
Yeah.
Just tell me what the story is." And there's other people that are just like, "Man, I'm glad that you're out there just getting it out of your system and doing stuff." And then there's a couple of people out there that are like, "You've inspired me to try to do my own thing." So I have a couple of friends in my circle that have started trying to write their own story. So it's nice to see that there's some impact out there. All the love and support has been 100% necessary. It's the fuel that keeps me going.
Gotcha. But how do you have like a routine when you write? Do you write every day? Like, what's your kind of structure?
I don't write every day. I know that you need to be a disciplined writer and set yourself a routine, and turn the phone off if necessary, or get one of those apps that kind of blocks things out for a while. Excuse me. I write when I am inspired to write. So some days it's like, well, I'm just not going to do it. Sometimes I'll just watch movies. And some days it's like, well, I'm going to do a little bit of working on the plotting and the outlining. And some days it's like, I think I got a couple of pages in me. And you sit down and you bang out what you bang out. And then there's some days like it's just you try to force it out, and that none of that's going to be usable because you're forcing it. So it's like, why waste time? You're gonna have to backtrack all over again. And then there's a couple of days where it's just nonstop furious writing, like it's in the system and I can't stop until it's out of the system. That's how I wrote my second pilot. It took us months to write Once Upon a Time in Space. It took me 4 days to write my second one, just because I was
Gotcha.
I was
Well,
so in the zone.
but at the same time, you're learning, right? You've gained experience, right? So,
Yeah, 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 yeah. And then the kind of the pitfalls and the stumbles that I had on Once Upon a Time in Space helped me when I was writing Generations. I plotted that more slower than I did for Once Upon a Time in Space, but the actual act of writing Once Upon a Time in Space helped me write Generations a lot faster. So
Gotcha.
it's
Yeah.
taking what I learned here and applying it over here.
Yeah. And what do you think the biggest thing you learned from like just from personally, like from writing screenplays?
Uh, Patience and willing to be open to suggestions and criticism. Because if you have a thin skin, it's not the industry for you. There's going to be suggestions that you're going to push back on, but once you finally accept it, you see that that person suggested it was right the entire time. Um, it's learning how to professionally take criticism. That's what I would say is has been the biggest thing, because every young hothead writer comes in there and like, no, this is my idea. I know the best way to write it. And then someone suggests something, and you're like, I don't want to, maybe. And then you're like, okay, yes, I see where they're coming from now. So learning in that vein, working with the writing partner on Once Upon a Time in Space, uh, you just got to learn how to give and take, compromise, and then getting outside feedback from various sources. You just got to learn. You're not going to knock it out the park the first time around. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be people who see a scene in a better light than you see it in, and learning how, what notes to take and when to stick to your guns as well.
100%. So before we leave you, we always ask people on the blog interview what movie they watched the most times in their life. And it seems like you watch a lot of movies. What do you remember what you answered?
I feel like the cheap answer is Star Wars. I mean, I've seen Star Wars about a million times. I just watched it like 2 weekends ago.
Star Wars
But
Episode
yeah,
4, A New Hope. I've heard of it
and
before. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's a tiny little indie flick that came out a couple
Yeah.
couple years back. Yeah, if I'm a betting man, I would say I probably wrote down Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be 50 years old pretty soon. Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. I watched the original trilogy, like I said a couple weeks ago, and it still instills wonder in me. It's still just a fun adventure ride. And that's in some places in our script, Once Upon a Time in Space. That's the vibe that we're going for. We want to take you guys on a fun adventure. And I
Yeah.
think
That's Cowboys in
Star
Space, Star Wars.
Cowboys
That's
in
how it was
Space.
described in 1975 when they were making it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what we're and trying to invoke is that sense of swashbuckling adventure.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's a movie that's kind of changing. It kind of crosses generations too, right? Where all the kids watch it, keeps it still holds up even though they've kind of made so many like first of all, are you like I don't even know how many Star Wars stuff there is now. Like are you kind of blown away by
Uh,
like how much they kind of take the Disney has taken the ball and just like mass produced
they have
everything?
they have taken the cow and milked this poor cow
Yeah.
dry.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a hit, and sometimes it's not a hit. But I'm one of those guys. It's pizza, man. Even bad pizza's pizza. I'm still gonna watch it. I'm still gonna love it. I think it does cross generations. I was watching it a couple years back, and I caught my daughter peeping around the corner, and she's like, "What's that you're watching?" And I'm like, "Hey, yeah, it's time, girl. Come and
Yeah.
sit down and learn about this Star Wars." I think it's something that will live forever, hopefully.
Well, they're going to keep making movies. That's why.
Yeah, if Disney lives forever, Star Wars is
Keep
going to
making
live
TV
forever.
shows. What is like from
Yeah.
the modern perspective? What's the best Star Wars movie or show from the modern perspective?
The movie I am a Last Jedi truther. I absolutely love Episode 8, The Last Jedi. I think it's an incredibly beautiful movie. I think director Ryan Johnson was trying to do something different with a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
It wasn't as positively received as some of the other ones, but I think it is a beautiful, beautiful movie. On the TV side, I don't think there's anything out there that touches Andor. A great show that's not about space wizards or not about any of that or farm boys or the hero's journey, none of that. If anything, it's almost like a reverse hero's journey with Cassian Andor and how he becomes the man we see him in Rogue One. It's a way to do political sci-fi, but kind of skirting through the politics so you don't estrange anybody. I think it's a
I
very
should watch it.
cleverly
I,
written
I guess
show.
I haven't seen that yet, so I should
Great
watch
show,
it.
man. 2 seasons.
2 seasons on Disney, I'm assuming.
Yep. Yep. Two and
And
done. That's it.
And that's it. They're done. They're not making another
Yep.
one.
Nope.
Why? Why wouldn't they make another one? Because it's already they've hit to the New Hope. That's why.
Yeah, yeah. They knew the characters introduced in Rogue One, and that second season
Sorry, that's what I
ends.
meant. New Hope. You know what I meant. Yeah,
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 yeah, and that second season ends dovetailing right into that.
yeah. 100%. Gotcha. I still can't believe they killed Han Solo. So
It hurt my heart. He's my favorite fictional character of all time.
yeah,
Um, and I
Man's
understand
man.
why.
That's he's a lot of people's favorite fictional characters. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's Harrison Ford. You're not going to say no to Harrison Ford. It's he's rugged, he's charming, he's a template.
When this has been done to death, but when he said she goes, "I love you," and he goes, "I know." I don't know if that set back male female relationships or pushed it forward. I don't know, but the arrogance of that comment, right? So
It's complete arrogance and an improv line by Harrison Ford.
that's what I heard, and I can't believe they left it in. But they would that
Yeah,
that line would never ever be allowed in today's
no,
world.
no, absolutely not, absolutely not. And it's just one of the charms of a movie that was made in the 80s. It's
1980, yeah,
yeah, it's great.
yeah, old enough to go to the theater and watch it.
Yes.
So. All right, man. Well, let's talk again soon when you write another script or we showcase another script of yours. I wish you the ultimate best of success and keep adding to this collection. It's going to be worth something one day for sure.
I
Not
appreciate
that
it.
that
I
matters to
get
you, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's always nice having the physical at your hands. I appreciate you letting me come on and chit chat for a while. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.